Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Tech Talk with Johnny Sanders, Truth and Life. Today, we're going to have a discussion regarding a continual discussion regarding AWS processing, uh, specific AWS processing and setup, a process flow. And this is going to be a step by step detailed process for you wonderful engineers who have reached out and contacted me regarding some questions regarding AWS from my previous videos, and I thank you. And as I mentioned before, please continue sending the comments, the thank yous, the questions, the inquiries, and I will do my best to try and fulfill those requests, like this one here. And again, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and continue sharing the videos with others so that we can continuously help people across the world. All right. So thank you again for tuning in and joining me. So one of the things that, and I've shared with you before, as an engineer, architect, I've worked with AWS infrastructure, for example. When you're setting up your AWS infrastructure, you're going to need to set up your availability zones in multiple locations. And for what I did, you're going to set them up in edge location servers using CDN, Cloud Front Distribution. Okay, so you can have data going towards the availability zones, the regions that you would have your data and communication going to. So you would need to decide your object storage. S3 is the ideal object storage to begin with. This will consist of key names that you will have as objects. You would provide the value of that particular data. You would provide a version ID and metadata, excuse me, um, regarding the types of objects, right? You will go and use an ACL, which is an access control list. In the S3, you will choose 30 days of storage or for a standard IA infrequent access, or a glacier, which is 60 days of storage. You would use glacier storage for long-term backup. S3 pricing, sizing 0 to 5 terabytes. And again, you would use t-shirt sizing according to the amount of storage that you believe that you're going to need. Okay. So you want to create your S3 bucket in AWS, give it a bucket name, set up the region. For instance, it may be the United States West, California, United States East, Florida, something to that respect. Okay, you want to set properties, specific tags, key names of files, given specific value, options, um, so that way you will be able to identify easily these key files, right? And then you're going to set permissions. You want to have read and write access, and you will give write access to specific, very key, very specific people that you want to be able to trust to perform administrative functionalities. Do not grant manage public or systems permissions. That's a no-no. You want to keep that specifically, again, for high regard, high executives, high overseers. You want to click on upload and add files. Okay. If there are pictures for your company, your logo, your marketing team, you want to select picture files from your drive and storage. Manage users, again, give them certain read and write access. Storage class, standard, encryption. You decide on whether or not it needs to be encrypted or not, and that depends on, now if this is going to be a public storage, if you will, of users being able to go and access different pictures, multiple sales team members that are going to be creating marketing items and stuff like that. Don't worry about trying to encrypt it because it's normally going to be in-house. But if it's something that's going outward and specific detail, then you would choose to encrypt it at that particular time. Okay. The next step you would want to do is add access for other AWS accounts. So everyone that has AWS that you have given permission will have access to be able to do read files as necessary. They will read the object to give them visibility to specific files and data on AWS. So, and to do that, you go to File Overview and copy a link address that's going to be in there. Go to your browser, start a new tab for setting up your browser, and this will where you'll basically do copy and paste that particular URL. Go to Properties, select Standard Storage Class. You're going to see an option where it says Encryption. Click on None. Now, for the metadata, assign optional metadata to the object as a name, value, pair. Okay? You're going to see tags next. Save to enable replication to object tags. IAM policies. We're going to get to that where you're going to be able to set up specific identity and access management policies and permissions. Okay? So for now, just select that tag for cross-region replication, okay? Go back to properties, suspend versioning, disable logging for now, disable website hosting for now, transfer acceleration, suspend, events, activate notification, request pays, disable. All right. Next, you want to go back to your S3 bucket policy. What kind of roles are going to be accessing these particular AWS files? So you want to set up via AWS Policy Generator. Select policy type, add statements, generate policy. Okay. Next, you're going to do a CDN, which is our cloud formation content delivery network in this distribution system where you're going to connect with multiple servers across the network. This is going to allow you to deliver certain pages and web content to the users that are going to be accessing your AWS. Okay. And again, availability zones that you set up in the very beginning. This is where you're going to be able to set and grant certain permissions based on geographic locations for those specific users, okay? Now, to do this, you're going to go into the console. Step one, in AWS, create distribution, choose your object folder, okay? Step two, viewer protocol policy, HTTP and HTTPS for security, and get head, which is the important TTL, time to live, minutes, 0 to however long you feel that you need to do this, right? This means that if it's set at 0, we can set at 0 max up to weeks at a time. So again, it's up to you. The default is 86400, which is 1 day. Okay, that's the default. Leave price class in use all 8 edge locations. Go to VPN to connect. View below shows connected. So that's going to be something that you look for. Go to link and copy. Open browser and paste link. The first retrieval will take some time, okay? Because again, this is data coming across the pipeline. It's got to go through the checks and balances and security items that you've already laid out. So just give it some time to go through the first sequence, right? Once cache, it will be much faster. Okay. This is what CloudFront will do for the specific users that's going to be accessing AWS. Now, if later you want to disable it, first disconnect your current VPN, then click on disable, select yes, disable. Once you do that, give it a few minutes for the system to go through its cycle, its checks and its balances. Then you will be able to receive a message that it has been completed, and then you can move on to the next steps. So the next steps is IAM, which I mentioned before. Okay, so when selecting IAM, which is your identity and access management, this is going to allow you to, again, provide permissions, secure, control access to AWS services for the users that you're going to allow permissions to access specific data via AWS. So you want to set up in security, identity, and compliance, go to IAM in the console, right? You're going to create a new group, whatever that group name is for that particular group or users that are going to be accessing it. It may be marketing department. It may be sales department. It may be accounting department. So according to that group, you will be able to select that. You will give certain administration access rights. You're going to give them full access. That's only going to be a number of people. Not everybody gets that. Most of the people are going to have read and write access. I'm sorry. Most of the people are going to have read access only. Read and write access is for the administrators. Okay. You want to create users for your groups. Click on users, add users button, add users name. It may be Mary Johnson, maybe Frank Henry, whatever their name is, put it there. You want first and last name because there may be several Johns, there may be several Marys, there may be several Henrys, whatever their name is. And if you start getting multiple Mary Johnsons, Mary Johnson 1, Mary Johnson 2, and you'll give their names out accordingly so they'll know what their IDs are. You want to provide access for the developers. They will definitely have read and write administrative access, and you want to be able to go back to the AWS Management Console to create a role for developers specifically, so they will have their access because they're going to need to be able to receive access key privileges and programmatic access, right? So for this, you will go and click on permissions to give them permissions, select developer, and it will take you to another page or the next page, which will show where the users' names can be added or have been added. And then you can review to make sure that you spelled it correctly, you have the right user's name in there. It even can be similar to their login or their user ID so they can keep it sequential. Next, you want to access and give grant access keys, again, for the programmatic access, because they will work with tools like API, CLI, SDKs, and all of these are different tools to push data across different systems and networks, okay? Then you want to basically give them, click on permissions, uh, create user, receive success message. Once you've given them the access and clicked approved or clicked OK, you should see a successful message that comes up. Now you have to go back to policies, go to JSON tab. Now this is still for the developers, and see versioning. You're going to see a version number is going to have the year, the month, and the day. So it's going to be in that type of order. Year 2024, date, I'm sorry, month, July, date, 31st, right? And basically that's going to be part of their code for the developers when they're doing their versioning. So they'll have a specific version number 1, version number 2, version number 12 with that specific date as each one of them go in and make changes. So every statement has an action, effect, resource. In roles, you want to go to specific um, place to create the roles. Web identity. This will allow users uh, federated access by the specified external web identity and open ID connect, which is OIDC. This is going to provide the users the role to perform specific actions according to the permissions that you have provided them in their specific account, okay, and group. So you're going to select EC2, which is for EC2 instances, then type in search S3, select full access, click next review, create the role. So you're going to receive a few messages. You're going to receive a message that says trust, permissions, and review. Okay, you select where you are when you create this role. In policy type, you want to put the S3 bucket. Okay, select Amazon S3 full access, permissions, the role name, EC2 to S3. So the role name is EC2, which is an instance, to TO S3. That's the S3 bucket, okay? Excuse me. The role description, you will put whatever you feel is necessary in the role description. So this allows the EC2 instance um, full access to communicate back and forth with the EC2 instance in the S3. All right, you want to click on create role. Under policies, go to policies, JSON tab again, version number, the date, year, month, day, effect, action resources, put an asterisk. Asterisk means like to grab all, means all of the data in the particular S3 bucket. This means that all EC2 instances will be able to interact with the S3 bucket, S3 data bucket, okay? What else is important is activate MFA on your root account. You want to be able to have security permissions and manage password policies. So when you get to that, you're going to see a button that you would need to click that button and go under account settings. You want to be able to select what's going to be required. Um, just like your normal user ID and password, you know, 8 characters, 1 number, lowercase, uppercase, special characters, items like that. This is going to help you with um, granting your particular access for logging in. Now, just like your other passwords in the systems, the passwords normally um, expire. So you, as the administrator that is setting this up, you want to set up a duration where the password expires and they have to basically put in a new password, right? So you're going to give them normally 90 days, you know, depending on where you have things set up and depending on how busy and active this is. 90 to 120 days is the norm. The number of passwords that is going to remember to prevent password reusage, 4. So this will give them a message, hey, you've used this password before, or it's too similar or too close to the previous password. Please select another password. So it'll be some type of message like that. you want to click on apply password policy and go back to the dashboard to see that the IAM password should have a checked green mark. It literally should have a checkered green item in the dashboard. Now, the next items is setting up your relational database services. Now, I'm not going to go deep into that, but some of the different types of databases for using AWS is Aurora, PostgreSQL, MySQL, MariaDB, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server. So that part, I will leave it up to you to decide on which database that you're going to use, which services you're going to use. And there are certain configurations that you would need to go to set up that particular database. And yep, I've used MySQL and Aurora, where I've had to go into um, the AWS Service Management Console and set up MySQL on port 3306. In AWS Management Console, you will also go to RDS, Relationship Database Service, to be able to set up your Aurora. For my case, it was Aurora MySQL database that we were setting up. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful to you. Hope this has been beneficial, and definitely please continue to send me feedback, responses, requests. If I don't know, I'll respond back to you, let you know, because I definitely want to be truthful and honest in showing integrity in my deliveries. So if it's something that I do know, I share with you what I do know or what I have learned in my past experience. Okay, so this has been another wonderful time that I've had with you guys. It's been great doing this tech talk regarding AWS and process flowing. Thank you again for reaching out. And remember to hit the like, click on the subscribe, and let's keep sharing this wonderful content with others. Okay? And as I always share with you guys, let's be good. And let's also strive to be great. I'll see you next time.